This is why you should never trust your friend if they tell you that their pet don't bite. Charla Nash would go over to her friend's house, Sandra, every now and then to watch over her 200-pound chimpanzee. Charla knew straight off the bat that she did not like that chimpanzee because it always scared her. There was even a time where the chimpanzee jumped on Charla's back and ripped out a chunk of her hair. Charla started crying, but her friend Sandra thought it was funny. Sandra would not be laughing at anything that chimpanzee did much longer after this day. One day, Charla gets a call from Sandra saying her chimpanzee wouldn't go back in the cage and she needed some help. Charla drove over there to help her friend, and immediately after, Sandra would have to call the police. By the time the police arrived, Charla was laying on the ground with half of her face eaten off, no jaw, her nose hanging from her face by a piece of her skin, and with both of her hands ripped off. This is what Charla looked like before her attack. Her entire face was mutilated after the attack, but since the photos are super graphic, they'll be posted on my Instagram story. Part 2 will include the unsettling phone call Sandra made to the police and how she described her friend getting eaten and ripped apart. This is going to be part 2 of why you should never trust your friend if they tell you that their pet don't bite. Sandra never imagined that after she called her friend over to help her put her 200-pound chimpanzee back in his cage, since he wouldn't go in, she would have to make a phone call to the police and report how her chimpanzee ate her friend alive. This is the audio clip.
Please!
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Let the police up! With a gun! With a gun! Hurry
Who
up!
has a gun?
Please, hurry up! He's killing my girlfriend!
What is the problem?
He's killing my friend!
Who's killing your friend?
My chimpanzee!
Oh, your chimpanzee is killing your friend.
He ripped her apart! Hurry up! And she's dead. She's dead.
Why are you saying that she's dead?
She's dead. He ripped her apart.
Charla actually ended up surviving. She was rushed to the hospital where they said she looked like she had gone through a meat grinder. Charla is very lucky to still be with us today. The most recent update about Charla is in her interview with Oprah that I have linked in my Instagram story. Look what came in the mail today. Okay, I know it looks like a white box, but I'm gonna open it so you guys can see what's inside. We got Vanity Cosmetics, bitch. I made the PR list. Anyways, if you guys don't know what Vanity Cosmetics is basically owned by one of my mutuals on TikTok who also does story time. He does makeup story times like I do makeup story times, so if you're interested in me, you might really like her too. So you should check out her page. Her name is 𝙤𝙤 Sabrina, tagged in the caption. So let's get into what is in this box. Can I just say, like, the packaging, like, this is top tier. Like, I feel bougie as fuck. This gave us scrunchies. Like, look at the color match. It's perfect and I didn't even ask for it. Look at this. What? It's a cute little sticker. It says, do no harm but take no shit. Purr. This has to be the best lash packaging I've ever seen. Good sis is in the fucking Matrix. Look at this. Sweet. Look how cute this lip gloss is. It's the palette colors for me, baby. We're trying out all these products in a separate. This is gonna be a story time of when my stepbrother killed our dog and fed it to me and my little sister for dinner. Let's get right into it. So my mom had died when I was younger and my dad had remarried. So I had a stepmom and she had a son. This motherfucker, let me tell you, we did not get along. I fought with him all the time, but it's because he was a little bitch. He would always bully me and my little sister and make fun of our weight. He would threaten to beat us up just for fun. Like, you in our house, get it together. I began to scold my dad because he was the one who brought them in this fucking house and he wasn't doing nothing about it. He knew they were tearing our family apart and he did nothing. So, anyways, one night, my parents weren't home and my stepbrother had to watch me and my little sister. Like I said, he was a little bitch, so he was upset because he had plans to hang out with his girlfriend. But that really sounds like a personal problem. Let me stop coming at this man. It's just making me angry thinking about it. So my dad had sent my stepbrother money so he could go get groceries so he could make us dinner. But my stepbrother didn't want to, so he sent me instead. Oh, mind you, I was like 12 at the time. And he sent me alone and my little sisters were sleeping. When I came home and knocked on the door, I noticed that our dog didn't run up to see who was at the door like she usually did. Then I smelled something coming from the kitchen, like for part 2. This is gonna be part 2 of how my stepbrother killed our dog and fed it to me and my little sister for dinner. So like I said, I got home from the grocery store and our dog didn't run up to the door like she usually did. I didn't think much of it and then I smelled something coming from the kitchen. What could he possibly be cooking if there's no groceries? And no, I didn't automatically think, oh, he's cooking our dog. Just hold on. Whatever was cooking on the stove smelled like shit. It made the whole house stink, but like I said, I didn't think too much of it. Now that I think of it, I heard the laundry machine going and my family had a set schedule for laundry. Like, we never did laundry off schedule, so that was kind of weird. My parents are just very organized people, besides the point. So I go upstairs to wake up my little sister and I see my stepbrother pass me and go down to the kitchen. An hour or so goes by and he calls us downstairs and says dinner is ready. All he did was boil some corn, give us canned peas, and some slab of meat. The meat was burnt, by the way, but I guess food is food. So we started eating this atrocious meal, and all I could think about were these tiny little hairs that just kept going in my mouth. I kept pulling pieces out my mouth. Mind you, this hair had no color. It was burnt. Now our dog loved to eat dinner with us, but she was nowhere to be seen. I started looking for her and I realized that she's missing. This is gonna be part 3 of the time my stepbrother killed our dog and fed it to us for dinner. So like I said, I started looking around for the dog. I asked my little sister if she's seen her. She said no. So I asked my stepbrother and he says no too. Somebody fucking lie. Who the fuck is lying? Cause it ain't fucking me. Let me fucking stop. Okay, so we trying to find this dog. I call my dad. He says she probably ran away, but no one let her outside that day. And I know she didn't just go outside. So the days pass and we're still looking for her, and we hang up missing posters. I got my friends to help me. My dad's looking, my stepmother, my little sister, and even my stepbrother. As time goes on, my little sister and I began to fall sick. We go to the doctor. They say we have stomach problems. They said it was probably from something that we ate. And I'm thinking to myself, what abnormal thing did I eat? That random slab of meat. Because there was no groceries. Where the fuck did he find that meat from? So I'm putting pieces together. You know, we're falling sick. The meat was hairy. Our dog is missing. Eventually, my dad ends up finding the dog, but it was dead and cut up. This is gonna be part 4 of the time my stepbrother cooked our dog and fed it to me and my little sister for dinner. So my dad ends up finding our dog hidden under some sticks in our backyard, but it was dead and cut into pieces. I might have been 12, but I wasn't dumb. I knew what the fuck was going on. So once my dad brings us this news, after he's done telling us what he found, I pulled into the other room. I told him what I peeped. I was sobbing and I told him I think it was my stepbrother who did it. I told him about the dog not meeting me at the door, the smell of the kitchen, the hairs, the laundry, the fact that we got sick. I gave him all the puzzle pieces, but he told me that he didn't believe me. He said, and I quote, "Your stepbrother might be mean to you, but he's not crazy." I said, because it's right there. It is right in front of you. Like, the evidence speaks for its fucking self. I ain't gotta say too much. So my dad ends up not doing anything to my stepbrother. He faced literally 0 consequences. I'm 19 now and I don't talk to him anymore. Till this day, I 110% believe that my stepbrother did it. Story time of the sickest I felt in my whole life. You might want to hold your breath for this one. So my boyfriend and I had been dating for like 8 months or so. I had my own place, so I let him move in with me. One day, my best friend decides that she wants to become a hairdresser, and so she started taking clients and doing people's hair. I became one of her clients because she did hair really good and she didn't charge me as much because I was her bestie. Whenever I needed her to do my hair, she would come over to my place. Well, over time, my best friend and my boyfriend began to become closer. I didn't think anything of it because I trusted my best friend and my boyfriend. Sometimes my best friend and my boyfriend would be alone together because if she was doing my hair that day and I wasn't home, I would make my boyfriend open the door for her. She could just go ahead and walk on in, get her stuff set up, and then once I was there, she could do my hair. Like I said, I trusted them enough, so I wasn't worried about it. Bitch, I should have been worried about it. One night, my boyfriend tells me that he's gonna be working a little late that night. So, you know, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So that night, I was just sitting on my bed scrolling through my social. Then I opened Snapchat. I'm watching my best friend's story and she had made a brand new private story. She added me to that story and there was a picture of my best friend and my boyfriend in bed together. This is gonna be part 2 of the sickest I felt in my whole life. The pain in my chest when I saw the picture of my best friend and my boyfriend in bed together. I started heaving. I was wheezing, like, so I was thinking to myself whether I should slide up and say anything, or if I should pull up to her house and whoop her ass. It had to have been at her house because that man had no place to go. That's why he was living with me. This man is over here homie hopping. Meanwhile, he don't even got a home. Although I was very upset, I was surprisingly calm. I decided that I'm not gonna pull up and beat both of their asses. I decided that I was just gonna take his stuff and throw it out the door. And as I'm walking to his room, I hear what sounds like a window is opening. And it sounds like it's coming from my boyfriend's room. So I keep walking to his room to check out whatever this sound is. I walk in there. And there my best friend and my boyfriend are sleeping on the bed that I bought him in my house. Bitch, like for part 3. This is gonna be part 3 of the sickest I felt in my entire life. So like I said, I walked in the room and saw my best friend and my boyfriend sleeping. I'm like, okay, we taking naps, bitch, in my fucking house. Let's take a fucking nap, then I'm gonna put both of y'all to sleep. So my boyfriend actually looked like he was sleeping, but I could tell that my best friend was faking it. She had just posted that snap only 10 minutes ago. It was clearly intended for me to see. So I walk up to the bed. I go over to where my boyfriend is sleeping, and when I tell you, I smacked the shit out down there, whacked that nigga like I was trained for it. Meanwhile, my best friend's over there like, oh my god. I'm like, bitch, I'm about to get to you. But right now, we focus in on him. But I'm gonna get to you, I promise. So I lift the covers off of them and I see that they're both naked. So that's really when I started pouncing on him, scratching him, biting him, you know, all that good stuff. Meanwhile, my best friend's over there trying to put her clothes on so she could go. Girl, you ain't going nowhere. Because after I was done pouncing on him, I charged towards her. Like for part 4. It's gonna be part 4 of the sickest that I felt in my whole life. So I had just gotten done beating up my boyfriend after catching him with my best friend. As I was beating up my boyfriend, my best friend was getting herself together so she could go. Like, where are you going home, girl? Our business isn't finished here, bestie. So I charge towards her and she's ready because she knows I don't play that. And she puts up her fists. I run up to her, she tries to swing, dodged it. I grab her hair and I drag her to the door. Maybe not the bedroom door. The front door. Dragged her all the way out and kicked her out the door. I locked the door, then I went back to my boyfriend's room, cussed him out a little more, and started packing his stuff up for him. I tell him that he has one day to get all of his stuff and leave, or else I'm burning it. I cut my friend off completely because she did some weird ass shit. I don't know why she would do anything like that, and I wasn't about to ask questions because I didn't give a fuck. My boyfriend was over there trying to beg me to stay, trying to say he was sorry, and I just was not having it. So I cut them both off. Girl, the hairstyles in 𝙫𝙤𝙧𝙚 wasn't that good. It was not that good to keep them around. Fuck. This is gonna be a story time of how me and my friends waged war on the nastiest girls at my high school. After watching all of the parts, you get to decide who won this war. And just a heads up, this will probably be the nastiest story time that I've ever posted. Let's get right into it. So at my high school, there was these group of girls that would keep themselves dirty so they could get attention from the boys. They would never take showers. They would always come to school stankin'. It was so bad to the point where if you were in class with them, the teachers would have to open up all the windows and leave the door wide open so the smell could drift out. Like, it was that bad. You really could have passed out. The school went as far as holding an assembly about how important hygiene is, just because of these girls. Now, these girls stayed together as a clique, and they were on the track team, and me and my friends were also on the track team. Our coach encouraged us to take showers after practice, but she couldn't force us. But she made it clear that she wanted us to take showers. Those girls wouldn't take full-on showers. They just get in the water for like 5 seconds and then get out. So one day, me and my friends decided that all those girls were in the shower, we were going to pour soap and shampoo all over them, like for part 2. This is going to be part 2 of how me and my friends waged war on the nastiest girls at our high school. As you could imagine, track practice sucked because of how bad they smelled. And mind you, they barely contributed to the track team. They were those girls that always pretended like they had an injury so they didn't have to practice. It was embarrassing, like, why are you here? And so after practice, while they were taking their 10-second showers, me and my friends took bottles of soap and shampoo and poured it all over them. This made them like cuss us out. They were extremely angry, but they didn't do anything. So some time passes by and one of my friends had told me that her boyfriend had gave her an STD. So she's thinking, he didn't have this STD before and all of a sudden he has one. So where did he get it from? Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, one of those stankin' wankin' girls that we poured soap and shampoo all over starts posting on her story and she says, and I quote, "You say I'm dirty, but your boyfriend doesn't think any less of me, so what does that make you?" Eventually, my friend's boyfriend admitted to her that he had cheated on her with one of those girls. And it wasn't just the two of them. It was all those girls, my friend's boyfriend, and some of his friends. It was like a fivesome. This is going to be part 3 of how me and my friends waged war on the nastiest girls at our high school. So like I said, those girls that never took showers had gotten a train ran on them by one of my friend's boyfriend and some of his friends. This pissed my friend off so bad, she was acting out of character. And I say out of character, I'm talking about this girl was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna poison her. I'm gonna run this bitch over." At the time, it seemed excessive, but just wait until you hear the whole story and you'll understand why it would have been justified. So my friend had asked her, her ex-boyfriend why he did what he did. He said that they didn't smell bad at the time and it was just spur of the moment. But he knew that his own girlfriend did not like those girls. My friend would talk shit about those girls to him. And it's the fact that he still had the audacity to put his dingling in my friend after he had ran a train on those girls. Like, that's disrespectful. And so to get back at these girls, my friend decided that she was going to stay in the locker room for track practice after all the girls left the locker room. And she took a piss on all of those girls' clothes. This led to one of the girls getting a rash that got really bad to the point where she had to be hospitalized. Trust me, you're gonna want to like for part 4. So this is gonna be part 4 of the time my friends and I waged war on the nastiest girls at our high school. So after my friend had pissed on those girls' clothes for giving her an STD, one of the girls got a really bad rash for wearing those clothes and had to be hospitalized. Now, I would have said that my friend went too far if it wasn't for this. So my track team ended up going on a camping trip. And the coach told those girls specifically that if they wanted to go on the camping trip, that they were going to have to be hygienic. They were going to have to take full-on showers. They were going to have to brush their teeth. They're going to have to bring a change of clothes. And me and my friends had hope that they weren't going to come on this camping trip so we could have our fun. But they actually agreed to being hygienic. And so they came on the camping trip. I'm still taken aback at the events that happened on this camping trip. So we're on the camping trip. We're like the 3rd day in. We sat around the campfire and made s'mores, and then we all went to sleep in our tents. Me and my friends, we all shared a tent. All my friends were asleep, but I wasn't asleep yet. I was still drifting asleep. And then I heard somebody open our tent. It was kind of dark, but I could still make out who it was, and it was one of those girls me and my friends were beefing with. She gets to where my friend is sleeping and squats down, and she takes a shit right on my friend.
God's undertow is what keeps me away from you. Late at night, I wait on my knees, praying you ghost in your eyes that is haunted by my youth. I'm restless and I'm worn, so why do I keep collecting memories for two? You're running from the sun, but in my mind I've been baptized before you. My soul is on fire. You're my one desire, I'm chasing right behind you. Running from the sun, but in my mind I've been baptized before you. My soul is on fire. Yeah, my one desire, I'm chasing right behind you. So come alive when I say your name. What's
This is
that?
part 4 of the bestiality children next door. Baby, that rhymed. Like I said, my mom is driving me home right now, and we're gonna have a talk when we get home with my dad about what I did with the neighbor's dog. I tried to explain myself to her in the car, but she wouldn't let me talk. She didn't want me to say anything until we got home. But when we got home, it wasn't just my dad sitting in the living room. The neighbors were there. The mom, dad, and the 2 kids. So I was like, is this a setup? The neighbor's dad is fuming. As soon as I walked into the living room, he stood up and tried to get in my face. Mind you, I was in 5th grade. He did that in front of my parents. My parents told him to back up, obviously, but there was a lot of tension. When he was in my face, he was saying, "How dare you force my daughter to do that with our own dog?" That's when I knew what the fuck was going on. This little fucker. Basically, after I left my neighbor's house the day before, the daughter went up to the parents and told them that I showed her the trick with the dog and forced her to do it. But this is when things take a turn, babes. This is part 5 of the bestiality children next door. Like I said, my neighbor's parents and their kids and my parents and I were all in my living room discussing about this dog situation. So I went ahead and explained myself that she was a fucking liar and that nothing that's coming out of her mouth was true and that she was just lying and lying. And the neighbor's parents weren't too happy about the fact that I was calling their daughter a liar. Then the mom just lost it and started screaming at me and going at me and just saying all these mean, terrible things. It was almost as if she had a personal problem with me. Well, baby. So I started crying really hard once the neighbor's mom started yelling at me. I don't know what that did to the neighbor's daughter, but she folded. She said, I lied. I'll tell you guys the truth. She finally admitted that it was her idea and she's the one who introduced it to me. Then once her parents expressed their disapproval, this fucking child, she says, I thought it was okay because I saw mom doing it when dad wasn't home. Story time about how my brother caught me hooking up with his girlfriend. My brother started dating this girl last year and they were hanging out every day. Also around that time last year, I started to figure out my sexuality. Well, since my brother and her would hang out every single day at my house, I would see her all the time. And I started to get little feelings. Something came over me, baby. I was like, God is a woman. I just kind of came to the conclusion that I liked girls. Since she was dating my brother and they were home all the time, me and her kind of started talking too. We exchanged Snapchats, just a friendly exchange. Keep in mind that at the time, she didn't know my sexuality. Nobody did. So that night, after we exchanged Snapchats, I was Snapchatting somebody else, and I was sending them some explicit pictures. Since I recently just added my brother's girlfriend on Snapchat, her name was at the top, so I accidentally clicked on her name and sent her the explicit picture. I didn't even realize that I did that until I received a snap from her out of nowhere, and she had sent an explicit picture back, like for part 2. This is part 2 of how my brother caught me hooking up with his girlfriend. So like I said, I accidentally sent my brother's girlfriend an explicit picture on Snapchat. Not knowing that I even sent it, I received an explicit picture back from her. I said, baby, I'll really bite your titties. Stop playing with me. But after she sent me the picture, I responded with heart eyes, and then she texted me and said that she would be coming over tomorrow to hang out with my brother. I basically said, cool, I'll see you around, and then she came over the next day. So the next day came and she was at my house, but I wasn't talking to her. She was with my brother. And then she walks into my room. I was like, hey, where's Rob? We'll just call the brother that. She said she sent him to the store to get some snacks. I asked if she wanted to come chill on my bed. She agreed. And right off the bat, we started, we getting it bonking, having a good time. That's when the door swings open and there my brother is standing at my doorway. Like for part 3. This is going to be part 3 of the time my brother caught me hooking up with his girlfriend. So my brother swung my door open and there he was standing at my door watching me and his girlfriend while we were... Immediately, he was just like, oh, really? You're both fucking gross. That's when he turned around and left. Later on, we had to have like a family talk about this, and I had to come out about my sexuality to my parents, and it was really embarrassing. My parents were super accepting of me coming out, but my brother wasn't as accepting, and I'm thinking it's mostly because of the fact that he had to find out the way that he did. Because it wasn't my sexuality itself that bothered him, it was how he found out. Later on, he told me that he walked into my room because he heard us laughing in there, and he wanted to ask her what exactly she wanted from the store. He was gonna ask her if she just wanted to come with, but that's what he walked in on. So my brother went ahead and broke up with his girlfriend. That's when me and her started dating, and we've been dating for about 2 years now. So I said I'd be sharing more stories of things that happened to me while I was younger that I've kept secret for my entire life and haven't told anybody, so here's another story. Fair warning, this video might be a little triggering. I was really young at the time. I don't exactly remember what age. I was around 8 or 13 years old. Me and my friends were going to this haunted maze, and it was around Halloween time. It was one of my friend's parents that was taking us there, and it was a group of 5 or 6 of my friends. While me and my friends were going through this maze, we were standing in a line, and I was standing in the very back. So while we were walking, I ended up tripping on my shoelace, and I fell to the side where there was curtains. It was the curtains where the workers would pop out and try to scare you. When I fell, I tried to yell for my friends, but because of the sound effects of the maze, they couldn't hear me. And by the time I got up, they were gone. So I started walking, and I eventually got to a place where you could only go right or left, and I went left. And once I went left, I ended up in a circular room where there was 5 passageways. But there was also a group of teenage boys, and I didn't even see them at first. All I know is I turned around and got grabbed, like for part 2.